Groundbreaking news. The manifestos have just been released this week. So Keir Starmer from the Labour Party has just given a very long, over 1 hour speech and a 136-page manifesto as to if he becomes the new Prime Minister, what is he going to do, particularly with the property market, which is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And also, brand new, hot off the press this week, Rishi Sunak, who is the current Prime Minister from the Conservative Party. He also said what he's going to do if he stays in power with Conservatives. So I wanted in this video to save you the hours and hours that I have spent researching, listening to hours of speeches and long Q&As, reading hundreds of pages of manifesto. I wanted to just, in a very short video, tell you effectively what the Conservative and Labour are both looking to do so that it will help you when you're deciding ultimately who you want to vote for, but also as to what's happening, with the economy, what's going on with the country, what's likely to happen in the property industry so you can be ahead of the game. So I'm going to start by talking about the Conservative Party, and I'm going to go through some of the key points that Rishi Sunak has said that he's keen to implement in the property space, assuming that he wins. I don't think he will. I think that Keir Starmer is going to win, but I guess that depends on who you vote for, and you might not know who to vote for until you watch this video. So let's go through the points. So Conservative, firstly, big thing, stamp duty. So Rishi Sunak has said that they are going to make stamp duty. At the moment, if you buy a house and you're a first-time buyer, you don't pay stamp duty up to the first £300,000. He's going to push that up to £425,000, which I guess is pretty cool. It's better than a prod in the eye with a sharp stick. So if you're a first-time buyer and you're considering buying a house that's more than £300,000, but less than 425, then you might like that point. Greenbelt. What is Greenbelt? Greenbelt is protected land. So you can't build on it. It's restricted. If you look at a map of the Greenbelt, there's a hell of a lot of land. I mean, you might wonder, why is there such a shortage of houses? And they're all desperate to build more houses. But if you go on an aeroplane and you look down, you can see loads and loads of land. Why are we not building? And one of the reasons is because of Greenbelt. A lot of the land in this country is protected. You can't build on it. And Rishi Sunak is saying that he is going to basically try and protect Greenbelt. So, there are some Greenbelt potentially that he might open up to build on, but he's quite keen on protecting Greenbelt. So if you live amongst fields and are worried about new houses being built around where you live, then I guess that's a good thing for you. For me as a property developer, I don't particularly like that. I'm keen to build as much as I can. Next, new Help to Buy scheme. So, this is what Rishi says in his manifesto. New and improved Help to Buy scheme to provide first-time buyers with an equity loan of up to 20% towards the cost of a new build home. First-time buyers will be able to get onto the housing ladder with a 5% deposit on interest terms they can afford. I mean, that might sound good, but if you know me personally and we've spent a bit of time together, you'll know that the Help to Buy scheme, in my opinion, is a bit of a sham. It's not the Help to Buy scheme, it's the Help to Sell scheme. Because what happens is they will help you with your deposit to buy a house, but it has to be a new build house. Why? Because the developers who are building new houses want to be able to flog them off, right? It's like a guaranteed buyer at the end, and it keeps the new build houses high if there's loans. So it's really the Help to Sell scheme. So I guess that might be good if you're a developer. Interestingly, he even says the scheme will be part funded by contributions from house builders. So I don't know how that's going to work, but it just goes to show that it's the house builders that are really benefiting from this. So I don't really rate that at all. Next, we've got this one was really interesting. Capital gains tax relief. So landlords will introduce a 2-year temporary capital gains tax relief for landlords who sell to their existing tenants. So what does that mean? So when you buy a house, let's say you buy a house for 200 grand, right? If you then sell that house and it's not your main residence for 300 grand, you just made £100,000 profit, and you're going to pay tax on that profit. and that is called capital gains tax. So what he's saying is, if you sell your house to your tenant, then you won't have to pay tax, as long as the tenant has lived there for 2 years or more. I mean, that's interesting. I don't know quite why he's doing that. Interesting. Of all the houses that I have owned, and I've owned a lot of houses and had hundreds and hundreds of tenants, I've only once ever sold my house to a tenant. Many times I've tried, I've even said to them, do you want to buy it? So I don't think this is really going to be something that's going to affect that many people. I'll be very interested to see if this applies to lease option agreements. Because, I mean, you could literally, let's say that they bring this in. Right, if you live in a house for 2 years and then you buy that house, the seller doesn't have to pay capital gains tax. You could just approach everybody that's looking to sell their house and say, hey, you want to sell your house for $500,000? You know you're going to get clobbered with capital gains tax. Don't sell it right now. Let me buy it from you in 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. But in the meantime, I'll rent it from you. And then they're saving on capital gains tax that way, but then you're getting a lease option agreement, potentially. There might be red tape around it, but we will see. So next, what else do we have? Capped ground rents. So capped ground rent, we will cap ground rents at £250, reducing them to peppercorn. Peppercorn just basically means nothing, almost nothing, over time. So I guess that's good if you're living in a flat and your ground rent is expensive. Renters Reform Bill. We will pass a renters reform bill that will deliver fairness in the rental market for landlords and renters alike. We will deliver the court reforms necessary to abolish Section 21. Sorry, this is just irritating me. And strengthen other grounds for landlords to evict private tenants guilty of antisocial behaviour. They've been talking about this for absolutely ages. It's wishy-washy. There's no time frame. Court reforms could take years. And to be honest, this provides, for me as a landlord, a lot of uncertainty. And I'm not really liking this point. And this next point, I'm really, really not liking. This is terrible. And I've done videos about this before, which is holiday lets. So at the moment, you can buy a house as an investment, and you can, unless you're in Greater London, you can rent it out in England, a serviced accommodation or as a holiday let without planning permission. This is what it says: we will ensure councils have the powers they need. We don't need to be giving the councils more powers and bringing in more legislation. Please, Rishi, stop. To manage the uncontrolled growth of holiday lets, which can cause a nuisance to local residents and howling out of communities. I mean, this, again, ticks me off, because it's like, basically they're trying to stop serviced accommodation, short stay lets, stop builders building on Greenbelt. I'm really not a fan of the Conservative manifesto from a property investment perspective at all. So that's their manifesto in brief. I would highly suggest that you read it in full, and I would highly suggest that you vote. So let's look at Labour's manifesto, which I think is a lot better, personally, from a property investment perspective. And I think I will probably be voting Labour in the election. But don't let me sway you. I want you to do your own research, and I want you to weigh up who you think is right for you. And there's more than just looking at this from a property investment perspective. You also have to read the whole manifesto and look at their values and all kinds of different things going on. So, Labour. Firstly, 1.5 million new homes in the next 5 years. Labour will get Britain building again, creating jobs across England with 1.5 million new homes over the next Parliament. That's a good goal. Again, it's slightly annoying to read, because year after year after year, we hear we're going to build 300,000 new homes in the next 12 months, and it just never happens. And meanwhile, the councils are getting stricter and stricter. The planning departments are a complete mess. It's like, you want more houses, but I've got so much land where the councils aren't letting me build on it for just no good reason, just political reasons. They just don't want me to build on it, but it's perfectly good development land. Yet they're going, oh, we need more houses. Which one is it? So, I mean, to be fair, we have had Conservative in for 14 years. Maybe Labour will completely reform the planning department. Maybe. What else are Labour saying? Mandatory housing targets for local authorities. Update the National Planning Policy Framework to undo damaging Conservative changes, including restoring mandatory housing targets. I mean, that just sounds brilliant. It does. Whether or not they will do it or not, but this is what Keir Starmer said, quote, and this might surprise you because you might think Labour, I don't know how you grew up. Most people that vote, I've noticed a lot of people, they're either Labour or Conservative or Green Party or whatever they are, but they don't even read the manifesto. They just vote for who their parents voted for 20 years ago, which to me is just mad. I mean, I might vote for Labour this term and then next term, maybe not. Depends on what the manifesto is. Depends on what their policies are. But this is what Sir Keir Starmer said today. Quote, "We are pro-business and pro-worker. The party for wealth creation." Sounds pretty good to me. Wealth creation, says Sir Keir Starmer. Wealth creation is our number one priority. Awesome. I mean, I love wealth. We're in the wealth creation industry. Not just property investors, but also entrepreneurs. Another interesting thing is this. Rishi Sunak, who gave his speech 2 days ago and published the Conservative manifesto, said, Labour are going to increase taxes. They're going to cost the average person £2,000 a year. That's what they said. And then Keir Starmer came out today from Labour and said, we're not putting up income tax. We're not increasing VAT tax. We won't. We're going to cap it. And we're going to cap corporation tax for companies at 25%, which is what it is at the moment. So it's like, okay, well, that sounds great. Really interesting. Really, really, really interesting. Next. The thing that really irritates me about, we need to build more houses, but then it's so difficult to get planning. Why is it so difficult to get planning? Well, there's many reasons, but a big reason is because the councils are so understaffed and they have such a lack of funding. When you apply for planning permission, it takes months for anyone to even look at it. So it's so slow. So this is what Labour are saying they're going to do. Extra funding for planning departments. We will revolutionise and reform the entire planning departments. I mean, this does sound good. Labour will support local authorities by funding additional planning officers. Sounds great. Cool. Crack on. You got my vote. Go do it. I mean, you can't argue with what they're saying. Now, you might say, they're just saying that, but then they're not going to do it. Okay, maybe. We don't know. But we can only go off of the manifesto. It looks pretty good. Stamp duty. We will increase stamp duty for foreign investors. Increasing the rate of stamp duty surcharge paid by non-UK residents. And what they're saying they're going to do is they're going to increase stamp duty by 1%. Now, again, I don't think that's a bad thing. Because, a lot of first-time buyers and first-time investors that are just getting into the market are getting outbid by foreign investors, really rich people overseas that are just buying up. So to increase stamp duty for foreign investors, it sounds reasonable to me. Right, next. Fast track brownfield sites. So brownfield site is where there's land where previously there was something on it. So if there was an old commercial building on it and it's been knocked down now and it's just land, this is what they're saying they're going to do with that. Labour will take a brownfield first approach, prioritising the development of previously used land wherever possible and fast-tracking approval of urban brownfield sites. But brownfield development alone will not be enough to meet our housing need. I mean, as I was thinking the manifesto said it. Because I was thinking that's not going to be enough alone. I mean, there's a lot of brownfield sites, but what about all kinds of other... They're gonna completely revolutionise and reform the planning departments. Great. All right, next. Greenbelts. Labour will take a more strategic approach to Greenbelt land designation and release to build more homes in the right places. The release of lower quality Greybelt land will be prioritised, and we will introduce golden rules to ensure development benefits communities and nature. Great. So what that means is we're going to be able to build more houses, because as they basically turn Greenbelt to Greybelt belt, and now you can build on it. I mean, fantastic. All right, next, what we got? Okay, affordable housing. Biggest increase in social and affordable house building in a generation. We will strengthen planning obligations to ensure new developments provide more affordable homes. Make changes to the Affordable Homes Programme to ensure that it delivers more homes from existing funding, and support councils and housing associations to build their capacity and make a greater contribution to affordable housing supply. That sounds great. I mean, affordable housing, what that means is houses that are affordable, right? So if you get planning permission and you want to build 10 houses, the council might say, you can build 10 houses, but we want 4 of them to be affordable. And as a developer, you're probably not going to make as much profit building an affordable house, because you're not going to be able to sell it above a certain price. So, you might not make it luxury, might not make quite as much profit, but that's what they're keen to do, which is a good thing for the country. I mean, I am waving the banner for affordable housing. It's important. Social housing, affordable housing, it's important because it means that people need to be able to afford homes. And as a developer, I'm very happy to build them. As long as I'm getting paid, I might not be getting paid quite as much, but as long as I'm getting paid, and if they're making it easy to get planning and I can crack on with my business, and at the same time provide affordable houses, great. Next, this one's interesting. Labour will prioritise the building of new social rented homes and better protect our existing stock by reviewing the increased right to buy discounts introduced in 2012 and increasing protections on newly built social housing. I don't quite know exactly how they're going to do this. Right to buy is where you've lived in a property for a long time, you're a council property, and the longer you've lived in it, you have an option to buy the property. A lot of people that I speak to every day on Instagram, and people even in the YouTube comments, might have lived in a property for 10 years and now they have an option to buy the property at 30% discount, which is absolutely amazing. I think they're gonna, we've seen this happen. I think Scotland have scrapped it and Wales are scrapping it. This was brought in originally by Margaret Thatcher. So I think this might be phased out. So if you've got a right to buy, exercise it now before it might be too late. So that's interesting. All right, next. First-time buyers stock. Labour will work with local authorities to give first-time buyers the first chance to buy homes and end the farce of entire developments being sold off to international investors before houses are even built. Sounds reasonable to me. Finally, mortgage guarantee scheme for first-time buyers, a permanent comprehensive mortgage guarantee scheme to support first-time buyers who struggle to save for a large deposit with lower mortgage costs. Cool. It sounds like what Labour are wanting to do is build more homes, make houses more affordable, and help people that are first-time buyers get on the property ladder, which I think can only be a good thing. So, as I say, read the manifesto in full yourself. Not just Labour and Conservative. There's many other parties. There's Lib Dems. I read theirs. There's many Green Party. There's lots of different parties. My opinion is Labour are going to get in. Probably I'm going to vote for Labour. Need to spend more time researching some of the other stuff. But from the property stuff alone, I think Labour look like they just have a better manifesto. But that's my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I hope this video saved you many hours of having to do loads of study, and it brought this into a concise, compact message to help you vote in the upcoming election as a property investor. Thanks.